most of you already know me, the co-founder of MBA and Beyond, and I'd love to facilitate today's session for all of you who's already joined and some of us who are joining it in a bit. I'd love to first let Richa take a moment to introduce herself, and then over to Shantanu, and then we can kick off the session.
Sure, thanks for having me. Hello, everyone. I'm Richa. My undergrad background is in economics honors, and post that, I've gained total work ex of close to 3.5 years now. And currently, I'm working in the marketing field with a unicorn startup. And yeah, I'm all set to join my MBA this year. I'm really excited for that.
Richa, probably you want to talk about where you're headed to finally, and what admits did you really bag?
Yeah, so I applied to a few schools and I've got admits from LBS and UCLA, and I've also received a scholarship amount from UCLA, so that's a good thing. But funny you asked that which school I've decided. I haven't been able to decide that yet. I still have 2 weeks to make a final decision. But yeah, just weighing in pros and cons, talking to as many people as I can, and then I'll be making a decision soon.
A good problem to have, Richa. First of all, congrats. It's a very good problem to have.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Thanks, Richa. More on what's leading to the confusion and how do we make a decision as well. So, we can advise future participants on how do we do it, for future admits coming in, when multiple come in different geographies, of course.
Yeah.
All right. So, Shantanu, please go ahead, take a moment to introduce yourself before we start.
Right. Hello, everyone. Good to see you all, and I hope, I know we're just 2 minutes into the meeting, into this session. I think more people are going to join. But again, like I said, good to see you all. There are a few familiar names over here. There are current applicants as well, Chandra, hello. Right, guys, I'm Shantanu. I'm the founder of MBA and Beyond. Really lucky to be, really lucky to feel that MBA and Beyond can be, play that particular role that helps people get through and achieve their dreams. And guys, I'm an INSEAD grad, 2017 December batch. Have helped a lot of applicants until now. I really like to talk with applicants, and every person feels that I don't think I'm different, or I think I have that thing, the other person's really very good. Just solving this problem is what I love the most. So yeah, that's it, guys. Apart from work, I play chess, I play poker, I also DJ in Goa, and these days I'm doing my physics experiments. Like, I don't know if you guys have studied double slit experiment, and also the base of quantum mechanics. So that's what I'm doing at home these days, guys. Apart from this, cheers. Good to meet you all.
Thanks, Shantanu, for such a lovely and candid description. All right, so Shantanu and I were just having a chat, this morning and last night, what really does it take for candidates, to start thinking about their stories beyond their professional lives. Just candidly, I'm sharing, a food for thought for all of you to start thinking about. And if you have an answer to that, feel free to share those answers with me at the end of the session, maybe tomorrow, maybe day after, whenever it comes to you. But Shantanu said that he likes to ask a question to all the candidates. What has been the turning point in your life? And there can be no right or wrong answer to this, but I think all of us need to have an answer to what is the turning point in our life, what has been, and why do we consider it as a turning point in our life. So go ahead, think it through as we go through the session. At the end, if you feel like, or if you already know and if you're aware, feel free to share your answers with me either on DMs or on email. I'm very willing to read those and just hear stories coming from future applicants. All right, getting the session started now.
Sorry, Paridhi. I have another thing which I really want to ask everyone. It would be great to have, a good feedback over here. How many of you have also tried AI to build, try building your essays or try building anything, related to MBA application? So it would be great if you can also open up a little bit about it. Not now, later. Paridhi, over to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, a turning point in your life, and to what Shantanu asked, you can all drop your messages. Of course, in the world of AI, I'm sure we've been using AI for a lot of things, but how and why, and then you can drop in, yes, I've been using and practicing it, as a Bible to go to. So, all right, let's get started. Um, to both of you, if we can advise candidates on, I would love to hear Richa's perspective as well, and then Shantanu yours. What do you think truly sets top MBA applicants apart beyond their GMAT scores or GRE scores and their job titles?
Yeah, let's put Richa in front as of now, because I've been answering a lot of questions for a really, very long time, But Richa, feel free if you want to take any questions first, feel free. But right now, go ahead.
Sure. I think it's a really good question because the perspectives while we apply seems like, okay, it's a top MBA school, everyone would be coming from fancy titles and would have, big brand names on their CV. But I feel what I had, since I didn't have a big brand name on my CV, and what I knew I had going in for me was the quality of work that I did. So as I just mentioned that I am working with a startup and I have only 3.5 years of work ex till now. And at the time of, and even in that, I would say the first year that I was working, it was just exploring different fields. So it was only that 2.5 years of actual work ex that I was, able to talk about in my essays, in my interviews, everywhere. But the thing that was really good and favored me well was that at a startup, you get to work on so many projects, get to work in different fields, and the growth curve that you have, it's unparalleled as compared to a big brand name that you get to work with. So of course, both of them have their merits, but in case you don't have a fancy job title with you, don't need to stress about it, is what I feel. You should definitely focus on your story, the quality of the stories that you're talking about. And yeah, I think like GMAT and GRE score is just that one entry point that gets you there. But after that, it's your own unique story and the kind of work that you've done that's what's going to make you set apart from the other applicants. Like, feel free to add, Shantanu, if you feel anything else.
You're absolutely correct, Richa. You're absolutely correct. So, I mean, to me, GMAT can be an eliminating criteria, but it's never a selection criteria, right? It can lead to your elimination, but it would never lead to your selection, and what you really need beyond GMAT and beyond the fancy titles, right, is that bulletproof narrative, that you can really pitch, because just try to see, let's say adcoms are investors, right, and you are entrepreneurs and you're pitching an idea, right, and that thing has not happened yet. That thing is going to happen in future, right? Whatever you're saying, why should they believe you? Why should they believe your narrative? Why should they believe you? I think is the question, and that's exactly where that I feel plays way more. That was way more weightage than just your GMAT score or the company you're working with.
Yeah, and I think if I can just add maybe one bit to this, one like where I particularly felt it made a difference was in my LBS interview, where when I was talking about my work ex, the kind of projects I worked on, and as if people don't know here, LBS interview is very detailed. Like, they go into every aspect of application, want to know everything, every why of why you have made such a decision. And in that, when I was talking about my work ex, I was really confident because yeah, I've worked on that. And I could see how interviewer was also impressed that in such a short span of time, I was able to, gain so many skills, and that I felt like was a distinguished factor, that even though we see average work ex at top MBA schools is around 5 years, but that was not the case with me. And I do feel that played a big part, that okay, numbers is one thing, but the quality of it is equally important. So yeah, if anyone has any doubts that okay, they don't fit the criteria, don't stress over it, as long as you feel that you have good quality, good stories to talk about.
And Richa actually added a very good point over here. Guys, to all of you, like, I don't know if any other admission consulting firm is going to tell that, but a lot depends on you. I mean, we are not here, I'm not here, neither is MBA Beyond here to make up a story for you. We're not going to do that. We are here to get content out of you, and we are here to tell you what's valuable, what's not valuable. and how to spend it, right? So eventually, Richa, like you said, you have 3.5 years, right? And you could gain a lot of quality experience. So a lot of this actually dependent on Richa, uh, guys. For who Richa is, right? How Richa has really come up in her life, in her professional life, and Richa, kudos to that. Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you, both of you. As we are going through the session, if you guys feel you have some questions popping up in your head, do not hesitate to either raise your hand so we can get you to unmute yourself and ask your question, or drop them in the chat box. Yes, Sahil, please go ahead, ask your question.
Hi. So good evening. Good evening. So hi. So I just wanted to know some information also, that since it's been years that I want it. It's been like a dream to live in US and work there and join a good university also to settle there. So that is one thing. And apart from that, I just want to know that, well, the top B schools which I am targeting is, one is Columbia, one is probably could be Yale University. These are the ones, and many others. So according to, I just want to know that apart from them, which are the other B schools which I should be targeting when it comes for placement. And
yeah, I'll take that one up quickly. So Sahil, this is a very deep question, and I'll try to sum it up in less than 60 seconds as much as I can. You will have to definitely have an in-depth understanding of your profile. Where do you stand? Scores are one thing, but you have to understand your candidacy and your aspirations in depth. And you have to align them with the school. Some good schools are really good for, let's say management consulting, just because their curriculums are defined like that. Some schools are good for entrepreneurship, some are good for product management, and so on and so forth. More than that, what MBA and Beyond advises or our candidates to do also research on how do you vibe with the school. And when we say vibe with the school, you have to understand how much of a personality fit are you with the school. So there goes in a lot of research. Having given you all of these things, it takes quite a bit of time to do that kind of research. So all of the candidates that you see here, or some of the candidates who are working with us, I personally know their story, that their journey did not, let's say if they were applying this year, their journey to apply to business schools did not start in this year. It started much ahead of time, when they conceived the idea, and then how they started to build upon it. For you, what I can offer is a profile evaluation call. Either me or Shantanu, feel free to get on a long call with us. We'll spend good 30 to 45 minutes to understand what could be a potential good fit schools for you, looking at the stage of your career you're at and what you're really seeking to get out of an MBA.
okay.
Right. I would like to add a point over here, Sahil, which is to answer your question, I would personally need a lot of data points.
Okay.
Right? And it might just take me half an hour just to collect those data points from you. So feel free to schedule a profile evaluation call.
Yeah,
right?
sure.
I'll be more than happy to talk.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sahil. Yes, I see Brajit. We can go with 2 questions in between multiple, questions that we have. So go for it, Brajit. Ask your question.
Hey, hi, good evening all. So my question is that how do you showcase growth in your resume if you have a junior role and a senior role? So how do you portray it like a proper distinction? That would be my first question. And second is that in the essays, there's the outcomes specifically mention that the skills that we acquire in our previous industry experience. So we can use that to contribute to the classroom and the community as well. So I'm just curious as to how do you portray that in the essays? That would be my second question.
Right. Over to
should I take this up? Yeah.
Yes, and then
Richa, Richa, you want to, or I can answer.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, perfect. Right. So, Abrajit, right? Can you just tell me again the first question that you asked? you had two questions, right? So first one was
Yeah. So how do you showcase the
career
growth
progression.
in your resume? Yeah. From a junior role to a senior role.
Right. So see, eventually, if you have to showcase growth, you got to understand, the patterns behind the growth. One could be, is there a bigger team you're leading, right? Or have you had a bigger impact, right? And the bigger impact could be in terms of, I was earlier just working on a project that impacted, let's say, 50,000 people, but now I'm working on a project which is impacting 150,000 people, right? Earlier, I was leading a team of 3 people. Now I'm leading a team of 20 people, right? So I hope that sort of gives you a few data points through which you can showcase how have you grown. Other way of showcasing career progression is how I would put it is promotions. So what we do is if our applicants have gotten a promotion, we would like to bask in the glory, and say that I was promoted over here. And which school are you applying to?
So I'm currently in tech consulting. I would like to switch to management consulting. My target schools would be Ross, Fuqua, Garden, and so on.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, if you say Ross, Fuqua, Tuck still gives you a little bit space to write in the essays, right? Garden also doesn't actually. Like Fuqua just simply doesn't, because they're going to ask you 25 random things, and then they can ask you the goals, which are like 150 to 200 words, and then they're going to ask you about the contribution that you're going to make. So you can't talk about this in essays at all. So, but it needs to come through the resume, right? Similarly with Darden, right? Whereas with Tuck, where it says, they have this question, I didn't exactly remember the question, but it says like, how do you add to the Tuck layer, right? I think over there is where you can speak a bit about how have you grown, in your own words, and then soup it with how do you really add to the fabric of the Tuck. There's one space over there in the essays, but generally under resume, because you can't speak with the reader. It's a resume, right? That's the difference between essays and resume, right? So yeah, those are the touch points: promotion, teams you've led, the impact that you have. That's the best way to showcase.
Okay,
And the other thing is
yes,
that
yes,
who are you reporting to?
Okay.
Richa,
So where
would
do
you
you
like-
mention all this in the essay, like in the application?
Sorry, come again?
So for different schools, there are different areas in the application where you specifically mention this, right?
That's our strategy, actually. All I would say is it depends on how much space is the school giving us to write about,
Okay.
and what are the points that I should highlight. So eventually we have to see how much space do we have in essays to talk about this. What are my points that I want to highlight? How many of them should I move to essays, and how many of them should I move to LOR, or should I just keep to resumes? It's more of a strategy is what I'm saying, Aptitude.
Okay. Yeah, my second question was how to approach the like how do my previous industry skills help me contribute to the classroom and the community of that particular school? So how do I portray that in the essays?
Is that a different industry from where you're working at the moment?
No, not really.
Okay, so what
so
you mean
it's,
is your current industry,
right.
and obviously you're post-MBA because environment consulting is a different industry, is what you're saying, right? We play on transferable skills.
Could you please repeat?
Transferable skills. The skill set that is required for you. So, I mean, Richa, you would have gone through content gathering. There's specific section called YMBA, where we go about and say that you applicant 1.0 and applicant 2.0. So applicant 1.0 is your current version. You put down your strengths, and then applicant 2.0 is the version who will be able to achieve your goals. We put down strengths over there. We also put down barriers over there, and then we say how is it gonna Paradi, if you can, buy MBA section. I hate this video. I hate this photo of mine. Okay. Yeah, scroll down a little. Yeah, like this. So we dive deep into detail into Applicant 1.0 is a current version of Bridget, let's say this. Applicant 2.0 is a version who will be able to achieve what are the goals you have put in, right? And this software upgrade is the answer for MBA.
Got it. So the transferable skills which I can gain in the journey.
It's nothing but the skill sets. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you so much. Yeah.
Richa, would you like to join since you've just gone through the journey very recently?
Yeah, I think another part is like one question you were asking was that about how do you portray that you will be able to contribute in this community, and how can you portray that? I think many like almost all the top B schools prefer collaborative environment and candidate who can showcase those skills. But rather than just going out and saying I'm collaborative, it's much better to show that how would you be able to do that. For example, in my case, since I have worked in marketing and I worked on different like A to Z. Okay, Z is a lot, but I was able to work on almost all kinds of projects that were there in the company, and I highlighted that people who are pivoting into marketing, or people who are coming from non-marketing backgrounds, and there are, as you know, there are certain core classes that everyone has to take. So I mentioned that how through my experience I can help those students who don't have a background in marketing, or there are some people who are looking to start their own businesses, and as a business owner you tend to do at the start at least all of the things on your own. So in that case I can be a good helpful resource to help out people who don't know how to do the marketing part of it. So that's how you can show that okay, your skills will be really valuable in the classroom. And second part of it is also every school has different clubs. Maybe for me it was marketing and I want to pivot into tech marketing, so I highlighted that I want to join a tech and marketing club where I can host sessions around marketing or AI in marketing, where I feel that there is scope of growth in future within my field, and would be helpful to organize some events, sessions, or some workshops that could be helpful for the people in general to get to be up to date about all the things that are happening in the field. So that's how, like, these are different ways where you can show that you have the experience and you can bring that in. And sometimes I think we tend to undersell our skills, that okay, this is very normal, I have that, which was the case with me. But I think my consultant and the people I talked to, they were able to highlight that you need to talk about it, because there would be different kinds of people, and the skills that you have, there would be some people who don't have it, and you will be adding value to those. So that's how maybe you can highlight your particular skills and show that you can contribute in the classroom.
Thanks. Bang on point.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Richa.
Thank you.
Thank you. I hope all the questions were answered. Just trying to sum up what Richa and Shantanu said about transferable skills and skills that you should be talking about in your application. For what I understand, you have to be very selective about the skills that you're heavily emphasizing on as your unique selling points, and they should definitely, as they're tying into your post-MBA goals, they should also be linked to whatever club contributions and everything you're doing. So they have to be connected. It can't be that you're talking about different skill set in one place and another skill set in another. Then that confuses the outcome. So make sure that collinearity remains. I'll just drop in a blog post over here which heavily talks about how to bring in collinearity, and you should be thinking about all elements of your application as tied into one single thread. You can choose what that thread is. All right, thank you both of you.
Just to add, also, like, eventually we'll be pitching a USP, we'll be pitching a differentiating factor, right? And your transition to another role, your differentiating factor should play a huge role. I mean, it should have the highest weightage in terms of whatever other skill set, or things that you're showcasing. And that's another very important point, because it should be chapters of one book. Your entire application should be chapters of one book. It shouldn't talk about multiple different stuff where they're disconnected, disjointed, right? I think that is far more important than any other thing.
Sounds good. Thank you, Shantanu. I'll move on to the next question, which says, what's one hidden admissions factor you think most applicants overlook? We worked with so many applicants in the past. Shantanu, maybe you can talk about from the perspective of working with a lot of candidates and what you've seen. While Richa, probably you can talk about things that you overlooked in your application, which you later realized, oh, this could play an important role in your application? Any one of you can go ahead first.
Richa?
Yeah, I think I can take this, and it ties to one of the things I just mentioned, is that we tend to undersell ourselves, and what admissions team is actually looking for is your unique story. And in my case also, it happened that I was not really sure that how can I make myself stand out. But I remember having this conversation with my consultant, and Shantanu was also there, and we were figuring out, okay, what's my story? What do I want to do? Why do I want to do? And then Shantanu only, like, I vividly remember this. He told me that, okay, just take a step back. Tell me about yourself. Just a very open-ended question. Tell me about yourself. Tell me about your journey till now. And I told him that, okay, this and that, this was my schooling, these are my hobbies. Then I did undergrad, reasons for doing certain jobs. And then one part of it was dance. And he told me after that you were narrating the whole story, but the moment it came about dance, your face lit up. And that was like, yeah, that's true. And then he highlighted that how dance is such a crucial part of my life. And the reason, so I joined a finance job just out of graduation. And after that, I moved into different fields. And now I'm currently in marketing. So he highlighted how I valued freedom and creativity over set boundaries and rules. And that also ties in with my personal interest in dance, and hence my current decision of working in marketing. So, and I was able to, like, even after the call, I was able to, think through this. Yeah, like, that's so on the spot that, yeah, I could maybe, map all my decisions around this and the things that I value or like, and how it relates to my passion with dance. And I think that was a key insight that we were able to unlock in that call. And my whole essays, my whole story revolved around that. So that was a big part of it. And again, I think as Shantanu mentioned earlier in the call, that people here can help you identify the content, but you'll have to write that own story. And once I figured that, okay, dance is so important to me, I figured out that one important point in my life where dance actually played that turning point and, like, created my whole story around it. So I think, and for me, before this, having this conversation with him, it was so normal that, okay, dance is my passion, that's it. Many people have many other passions. What it has to do with my story? Why do I need to talk about it? So the same thing, that sometimes we tend to overlook things that are just within us. Like, we really need to introspect and have enough time, because I certainly didn't give myself enough time to prepare and think through this. Would have saved a lot of anxiousness if I could have started a bit earlier. But yeah, I think one thing that we tend to overlook is not paying enough attention to our own stories and our own reasoning for making the decisions we did, which is helpful when someone can, provide that perspective and maybe dig deeper on that and then create our whole stories around it.
Right. First of all, thanks, Richa. I think I also remember we opened up your LBS's goal essay with dance. Right. I guess that is the first paragraph, right? That is right. That we start talking about dance, but the question is of goals essay. And then that's how it gets woven into the motivation and everything, and then right.
Exactly.
Yeah, I remember that. I then also reviewed your essay after that. So yeah, good stuff. Yeah.
Thanks, guys. I think that was very beautifully expressed, Richa. Things overlooked can be a hobby, can be, a personal, like one of the stories that I was reading a couple of days back. It could be a personal, event that happened, which could be something that, can catch the adcoms eyes and can get them hooked. So the whole idea is that sometimes we just go so deep into our professional journeys and we just want to talk about it so much. And very rarely do we bring out a very, a unique perspective that we need to just from our professional journeys. It becomes difficult because there's no way we are standing out, because we belong to an overrepresented pool of candidates already. Somebody might have more number of years of experience than me, like Richa had 3.5. Somebody might have 5. I know candidates apply with 7, 8, 9, 10 years of experience at LBS, even Anderson, any school that she's applied to. And how does she make sure that she's standing out, comparing herself to somebody who's done so many interesting, gigs, has diverse experience across different industries, etc., etc. So yes, sometimes going personal into hobbies might just play the game, while there are other ways to do, to go about it as well. All right, let's move on to the next. Okay, so I have Meher's question first. We'll take that one up and then we'll go back to the questions. Can you talk about scholarship for MBA? Does your scores on GMAT or GRE have a role to play there? Yes and no, but Shantanu and Richa, you can elaborate on that a little bit, and then I'll be happy to add.
Richa, I'm not sure if you got a scholarship. I think UCLA you mentioned, but LBS, did you get any scholarship?
Not from LBS, it's just from
Not
these.
from LBS, right? I think we can haggle. Richa, let's connect. Okay. LBS is about haggling, you know. Yeah, let's connect tomorrow or day after tomorrow once.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
Guys, scholarship is a tricky question. I cannot answer for everyone, first of all. You know, if you're an Indian male engineer, extremely hard. Extremely hard. You know, females all this while of putting an effort towards feminism is paying off. You know, so good job, first of all, right? And if female applicants on an average are getting way more scholarships than male candidates, even if they're engineers. You know, so one thing over there, I have personally seen in US business schools, I've seen $20,000-$30,000 scholarship. How much did you get from UCLA, Richa?
I got 60K.
Okay. Guys, I've seen 30K on an average, 30K on an average. You know, 60K is good enough, Richa, good job. But yeah, 20-30K is something that you can on an average expect, guys. And in European B schools, on an average, 18 to 20K euros. That's something that you can expect, is all I would say. And these are only these scholarships that are listed on the school's website. I'm not talking about external scholarships, and just to make sure we don't deal external scholarships.
Yeah, thanks, Shantanu. For the GMAT, GRE bit, I'd like to say that yes and no sometimes. I mean, it depends if your profile is bringing in something that's very resonant with a certain scholarship application that you're doing. For example, one of our candidates applied for Laidlaw Fellowship, got 100%, got a full ride at LBS. She was just a 670 on classic GMAT. I mean, she was able to do that because she just absolutely was a perfect fit for what the scholarship was looking for. We've seen candidates with 630 GMAT also bagging a scholarship at INSEAD. We've seen somebody with 680 bagging a scholarship at Darden, and Fuqua, they applied in early action. So we've seen stories on the other side as well, just because they were a perfect value fit with the school and they were a perfect value fit with the scholarship that they were, you know, going ahead for, where they had to do essays, and the scholarship essays aligned pretty well with the essays that you are submitting to the schools as well. So yes, sometimes they do come through. Depends on how much of an extra mile are you willing to go to put in that narrative. And eventually, let's say right now we've got 4 to 4.5 months to the deadlines. The idea should be that you apply to 5 to 7 schools and you have some realistic and, you know, ambitious schools in the kitty, bag multiple admits, get some scholarships in some schools. And what Shantanu was talking about, haggling with Richa, schools are very open for negotiation. So when you get multiple admits, you can definitely go ahead and negotiate with the schools. And it is a thing. You're going to a business school. Negotiation is going to be a subject that you're going to study. So might as well just implement it before you go ahead and, you know, start studying it. So that's going to be your negotiation 101 when you do it, you know, after bagging multiple admits and then seeing where the maximum you can go to. You know, Richa, would you like to add anything on the scholarship bit, GMAT, GRE bit, anything?
Yeah, I think what you said was spot on. Just one more thing that, I think the more unique profile you have, it's always helpful. And just always think that from school's perspective, scholarship is a way for them to have you there. Like, it's basically an incentive so that they feel that, okay, you are really a spectacular candidate, and they feel that you will be applying to other schools and you might have offers from other schools. So they just want to make sure that they try to make it easier for you to make that decision to choose their school. So that's like the mindset that schools also come from. And yeah, again, uniqueness in the profile does play a part more than your GMAT and GRE score.
Thank you, Richa. Okay, Meher, please go ahead, unmute yourself. Feel free to ask your question.
No, thanks, guys. That's very helpful, actually. But like when you say how unique your profile is, how do you identify that? What are the markers for a unique profile? Like, if I give you my background, I come from a very I come from a decent school in Delhi, and then I did my bachelor's in University of Leeds in international business and economics, and I've been working for 7 years now. And right now I'm working at like always startups, and right now I'm working at a fintech here. And now I'm planning on applying. So like I have almost 7 years of work ex. So how I mean, I don't. Everyone has similar backgrounds. How do you identify that unique sort of characteristics that you're talking about?
Right, Meher. So it's never professional. That's the trick. Yeah. So she talked about dancing. She talked about dancing, right?
Yeah.
And then we got skill set out of it, and that's when we started talking about professional stuff.
Yeah.
So that's the difference, because if you're just gonna talk about professional stuff, everyone is gonna be same.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Interesting.
it takes a lot of I mean, look at it. I don't want to say that you should look at it as therapy, really, like as a term, but look at it as a way that you're bouncing off. You're having a great conversation with a friend, and sometimes you come up with things that you yourself did not know that you have them within you. Sometimes when we're structurally thinking and going by the books of averages, that's actually, it plays against us than for us. So be open in your own story. Be willing, something that I would love to say to everyone here, be willing to be vulnerable, talking about your weaknesses and failures as much as you feel proud about your achievements and the wins that you have had in your life. You will see there is some connection, and then something will pop up. But yes, something that I feel most interesting stories that I have read are the most authentic ones, and also the ones where people have been able to open their hearts out with full vulnerability to adcoms. So do that, and then just talk to people who can get the best stories out of you. Eventually you will be the one who's writing it for yourself. So there's no right or wrong approach and one size fits all. Sometimes it's easy to spot for some candidates, easy in the first conversation, a profile evaluation call, and I can easily tell that, oh my God, let's use entrepreneurship as the key or unique selling point, because they've got the fire, the vigor, the passion and everything growing up. It's all tied into their personal journey, how they saw their parents struggling, or like mother starting a small shop or whatever. Sometimes it just is easy to connect, but sometimes it's not that easy, like Richa was saying. Sometimes it could be something very small. Just because you've always been thinking of yourself as small, you're not able to bring that out as a unique feature in our applications and stories. So I wish we could put it together in a framework, but I
understand the emotion and the gist
for you. But happy to have a chat later. Me or Shantanu, whenever you want to, and then we can go deeper, like talk for half an hour just over your story.
So I'd like to throw an example over here, which is going to be apart from Richa's, right? Because Richa is here, it's just going to share her own experience over here, right? There's an applicant who comes in, and she works in a company where through AI, they are making sure how many items of a particular brand are available in a shelf. Because when you go into grocery store, right, there are shelves, right? So you've got to check, right? Like how many items do I have top of the shelf, middle and bottom of the shelf, right? It's a cool stuff that our companies do, right? And she goes and she works, I think, as a customer success manager, but she manages 4 product managers, frequently visits clients and gets all the details. So this is all the professional stuff, right? Now I'll tell you the story that we pitched about this applicant. So the story is, the narrative that we pitched is that since my childhood, whenever I was right, obviously my parents would listen to me. But even when I was wrong, they would still listen to me. Okay. And this over the time had generated a particular trait in me where I understood that there's nothing wrong and nothing right. It's about perspectives. So I'm good at understanding perspectives. Blah, blah, blah. Now this story boils down and says that now later on, just because of that, and I'm a good mediator, and it's just because of that, I can resolve conflicts really very well. That's why my company sends me to clients' offices, collect their requirement, and then I can translate that into, what my company has to do. In the second narrative, where I didn't even tell you what a company does, right? The only thing I gave you is who she is. I hope you get my point.
Yeah.
Meher.
Yeah.
Right?
No, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
But thanks for asking that question, Maher. And as you can see, like for Richa, it was a hobby. For this candidate that Shantanu talked about, it was a characteristic or a trait that a person developed because of their upbringing or whatever, and that puts them in a position that they're really good for a certain kind of role. And of course, that can be their unique. So, unique selling point, as we're talking about, can be a trait. It can be a hobby. It can be, I don't know, Shantanu, Richa, can you think of more adjectives or more terms? But yeah, we can all put it together. But yeah, it can be anything. So yes.
Your unique selling point is you.
Yeah.
That's you. Now we got to figure out, what part of you we got to showcase over there. And that's why Patri earlier mentioned that feel free to be vulnerable. And it's our job. I mean, it's a very safe environment that we have. Then it's and Richa, we can connect with Richa one-on-one later on, It's a very safe and conducive environment that we have. And our objective is just one thing. I mean, we're not here to judge anyone, right? I mean, like, what would I get judging anyone, right? But our job is to turn whatever you feel is your weakness or whatever you feel that, probably might not be good over here into your strength.
Got it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Shantanu. Moving on to the next question quickly, and then we'll come back to you, Rajat, so that we can at least make sure we're covering most relevant questions that we have to take up. So the next one is, how can a strong story make up for an average or let's say a lesser than average GMAT score? I mean, I think we've kind of already talked about it, but any more 2 cents on that, Richa, Shantanu?
Richa, would you want to take this up?
Yeah, I feel, again, we have been talking about this a lot in this call, but having your story is like the most important thing. And as Shantanu had mentioned, that GMAT can be one factor that maybe gives you rejection, but it can't be the factor that gets you selected. So your stories do have to play a huge role. And one thing I like going through the different schools, the application process for those, one thing I've understood is that they're looking for clarity from you, that okay, your story is there, but how does it all tie up together? Like, why do you think that MBA is that one thing that will make your dreams come true? Why do you think now is the right time to achieve that? Why is it not maybe 2 years down the line? Or why do you think that your time has already passed for doing an MBA? And lastly, why this particular school? Because every school has their unique proposition and they pride themselves a lot on that. So you really have to make sure that you customize your applications, your essays, and highlight that what is that one particular thing that school is offering, and the goals that you want to achieve, how will that particular school is going to help you achieve that. So yeah, I think GMAT, GRE is going to be that entry point that can get you in, but your story still have to make sense. They still have to answer all these 3 questions very clearly, and make it as easy as it's possible for admissions team to understand your why through it. Don't make them guess that okay, you're doing one thing right now, but you want, for example, you're doing finance, but you want to switch into social impact, but why is that? Make sure that it gets answered through your essays. They don't have to think through it. So again, essays I feel are the most important thing. We do emphasize a lot on our GMAT, GRE, which I think in all fairness we should do, but don't neglect your story aspect of it. It's equally important.
Thanks, Richa. All right, but as we talk about,
and she's bang on target actually. Richa's bang on target over here.
Yeah, I mean, nothing to add. Everything was said in the most precise way ever said. So my question is to you, Richa, right now, after you've been talking about stories, and of course, Shantanu opened up the conversation, role, how many of us are using AI. And I mean, I've spoken to some re-applicants who tried to do their applications on their own, and then some try to do like 10 applications in 20 days. And I mean, of course, there's a whole level of analysis going into that, how it harmed or played in their favor or whatever. But curious to know, how do you personally feel, as we're going more towards technology, what is the importance you felt was of working with a consultant, or something that you felt is necessary or not? How was your, why would you choose to work with a consultant? Yeah.
I think for me, it was more like, one factor was, of course, the stress. And honestly, I didn't expect it to be there. But obviously, when you're applying to so many schools, you think that, okay, this is the point that's going to define your life. Although it's not that big of a deal later on, you feel. But in that moment, it's really hard to make yourself understand that. But having a consultant they act as your soundboard, because you can just go through them and you can talk about whatever ideas you have. And they can just honestly tell you that if this is going to work or not. For example, my consultant told me clearly that, okay, what you're trying to do does not make sense. Please make it more cohesive. I could not understand. Like, I know your whole story and still I could not understand. Make it more readable for the admissions team. And I think very honest, you get honest perspectives from someone who's always there. And especially in the last moments, this was, I think, is on me, that everything I did was very last minute. I could have saved a lot of trouble and stress if I would have started earlier, but my consultant was there with me. Like, even at nights, if I was texting him that, okay, I've done I remember we used to do, I think, 4 or 5 rounds of edits in one single day, and we were in completely different time zones. So the availability he had for me, that was like really helpful, because for example, the deadline is next day and I'm still contemplating that, okay, I've changed this part, does it make sense, should I make it slightly more better, what else can I do? So all those things, it was really important to have someone who understands the whole ecosystem much better than me and was able to manage my stress as well, and was giving me confidence that, okay, you'll do fine. So I think all in all, it's a whole journey that you have, and someone, if you can go through it with someone, that's always helpful, who can understand, who knows much better than you, and also able to go through the stress that you are going through. I think that makes the whole process slightly easier. And yeah, that's why, I think for me it was worth it. And also, I think out of the 3 schools I applied to with my consultant, I got into 2. So that's what I would recommend, that having someone to go through it is the best thing you could ask for.
Okay, I am now curious on the question, the part that you touched upon when you started. Which was the 3rd school, first of all, that you applied to?
I had applied to Kellogg as well.
Kellogg as well. And what's the confusion? Is it because you have a scholarship from one, or is it because you're confused between the geographies that you want to go to? If you want to share that with us.
Yeah, so I think scholarship is one factor, and from, I think, ROI perspective also, I feel UCLA is a good fit, especially in the industry that I want to go. But from long-term POV, since I always see myself settling abroad, the kind of uncertainties that are taking place in US is kind of making my decision very confusing. Should I choose LBS or US? So yeah, talking to many people and trying to internally also, I'm thinking that what are the factors that matter to me? Can I consider coming back to India after a few years? Is that an option? So yeah, having debate with myself also on various factors before I make a decision.
No, fair. You have to look at the geo-economic situation, market trends and opportunities. Fair point. We've had a long session. Guys, if you're struggling with same thoughts as Richa, and I understand, she's at a very sweet spot right now to have those kind of conflicting thoughts. What I know, the kind of candidates that we are talking to right now, they're having conflicting thoughts without even starting the work on their application. So I would still call ourselves as beggars. So beggars are not choosers. I'd rather, the ones who are confused, I'd rather suggest them hedge your bets, apply to both the geographies. You have enough time, 4 months, you can do 6 to 7 applications, do it good. And then once you get admits, I think go in the conundrum that Richa is in. That's going to be a nice space to be, having those kind of conflicting and Jekyll and Hyde thoughts, not otherwise. So yeah, Richa, you want to add something to
I
that?
think one point I want to add. So I applied in R2, and that was the time that Trump administration was going to like they were going to come into the office. So at that point, my thought was that okay, I'm in a perfect situation because my plan was to apply in R1, but I didn't have a good enough score. So by the time I applied in R2, I was like, okay, great, it has worked out perfectly for me because I'll have proper clarity that should I be applying in case like by the time decisions come out, I'll have proper clarity what's Trump's stance is on immigration, and I'll be able to make a proper decision. But turns out it has become even more confusing for me. So I think things change quite a lot even in months. So it's very far out, and like the advice that I'm getting is that it will still be 2 years. I still have to spend 2 years studying, and then by the time I graduate, it'll still only like 1 year of his administration. So by the time like people here will be applying, it'll be a lot of time. So I don't think it should be even a problem to consider at this point. You should only focus on your applications, your GMAT, GRE scores, and like picking the best school as per your profile. And yeah, it's a problem you can have later and still decide, but should not waste time over this, I would say.
Best advice given ever. So that, yeah, I mean, for all of you confused, just take the hit, take the shot, apply. Very rightly said. We can't, make sometimes I feel candidates make a decision already assuming that they are in. And that's not the case, guys. I mean, reality strikes harder. So, of course, let's say US gets better and you never applied to it. And things change in a year or 2 years. Don't go live with the regret that you never applied. So do it this year if you're confused, and later you can make that decision. Rajat, I'm sorry to hold you back, buddy. Please go ahead, unmute yourself.
Sorry. Just one last thing to add over here. You are not gonna get in if you don't apply.
Yeah, Rajat, you can go now.
Yeah, so technically I'll be applying round 1, but some schools have early action round. So AdCom specifically mentioned that for those rounds we have to convey that that school is our topmost choice and we are not looking anywhere else. So how should be the approach different from like round 1? Let's say if I apply in an early action round, what different should I do with the essays? That's it.
Shantanu,
it's not with the essays actually. Yeah, it's not with the essays. I mean, we do this a lot. Like all the proactive applicants who are joining us, make a primary action. But it's a thing that I would like to talk more in person than here.
Okay.
Thanks. Yes, Ansit, please go ahead, unmute yourself.
I actually wanted to chime in what Shantanu said about using AI in your essays. I actually applied to R3 of ISB just now, and I used AI and I think what I realized, like I didn't get into ISB, I realized that AI actually just reinforces what you think. And there is no, they don't talk back to you, they don't question you, they just, if you have an idea that this will happen, they just reinforce that idea, and there is no resistance, like this is not possible, this is not gonna happen. And like, I think it also lacks a lot of, nuance to it. Like, if I have decided a certain path, it just sets me on that path. It doesn't allow me to, like, I think I actually did the whole essay, and I thought I got the interview invite, but I think what I struggled in the interview is that those were not my ideas. Like, some of them were, starting points were, but AI completed my thought and it actually wasn't me, and I couldn't defend it in the interview. Like, when they actually poked those things that I wrote, I was like, this is not me, and I couldn't defend it. And like, I went back and I thought that I actually have a story and I have a certain idea about myself, but I never got to think about it because I depended on AI so much. I think that is my read on using AI on essays.
Right.
Thanks, Answer. Yes.
Answer. Totally hear you, because I had personally been building a thing for a while, when ChatGPT popped up, became sort of famous in 2023. I bought the subscription in the night at 1 a.m., didn't sleep until 5 a.m., was just building essays through, because how can you sleep if your entire business is going to get disrupted, right? You can't sleep, right? At 5 a.m., I was sure that no, it can't do, what I wanted to do. Probably later on it would. Over time it has become really very well. We're also training a model, but I think what it really lacks is ChatGPT with AI in general, Gemini also, DeepSeek as well. Extremely good in writing an article on a topic. But when it comes to, so there was a point I made earlier, which is chapter of one book. When it really comes to that, that's where it's lacking. And now when I say, okay, it can also write chapter of one book, what should be the chapters? Because these schools limit you in terms of words. What should you pick, right? That is one thing. And that is the biggest thing, actually. Having said that, I think this is exactly where our AI model comes into picture, and that was the reason, guys, I asked for it. Few of the things that all of you, if you are serious about essays, you would have definitely tried using AI, right? And few of the things that are very common is lack of focus and coherence. I mean, you are going to place a large chunk of content, right? And then we feel that AI is going to do a magic, and with that magic. But what happens is that magic lacks a clear storyline or a strategic filter. And then it produces essays which are disjointed and generic. The second thing is your essays are over-polished, but under-personalized. It's not you. That's what you mentioned, right? But it's over-polished. The moment you're going to read it, you're like, I could not have ever be able to write this, right? Never ever. I could not have thought about this. This is so wonderful, So that's an over-polished and under-personalized thing comes into picture. The third thing that we have seen multiple times is misalignment with like the school specific expectations. What exactly a school is looking for, and I mean, I don't want to sell MBA Beyond over here, but all I want to really say is that is where AI is a precision instrument. You tell it, you give it a guideline, you give it a direction. It's precision. No human can match that, right? But the direction needs to come in, right? So that's where the model that we have and the way we have been building is that we're finally, after 12 months, of probably working on so many essays. And then I had because AI couldn't do it, I had personally written those essays, because we promised applicants, we couldn't do it. The AI couldn't do it, So all I'm trying to say is that particular pain, these pains that I'm telling you is my personal pains going through and building essays, through AI. But I think over time we have realized that the storyline needs to come from human, and AI can precisely sing songs about it. So Ansat, that's where I feel the problem is, because if the storyline comes from humans, comes from you can very well defend it in during the interview. And if it doesn't, then dude, I mean, they blabber. I mean, AI blabbers, man. Can just fit in anything, to make it look over polished. And that's where the struggle happens. I can totally understand you though.
Thanks, guys. We're quickly running out of time, but Yes, I think we should do a complete session on like AI, versus
We should.
everything else.
Yeah.
We will plan something and we'll share it with you guys. But Ansit, I do agree that it's not sitting over there to challenge you, and you're looking for someone to challenge you in your thoughts sometimes. That's where, the whole drilling in and, peeling the layers things is going to come out. Having said all of this, never say never. That's why it's super important to also respect and value AI at the same time as we are, respecting the whole EI and the whole human bit of it. But how can they both come together is where the art and science is going to lie, is what we all should be thinking about. And yeah, I mean, that's what Shantanu's been on to figuring this out. It has successfully worked for a few candidates last time. And eventually it's about democratizing, even admissions consulting is, I know it's a lot of money that we pay. And we have to figure out a system where, it becomes more affordable for everyone. So thank you everyone for joining today. I know some questions, some of us are dropping in right now. I'm sharing my email address over here. Feel free to send me your emails with questions and turning point if you want to share. And I would be happy to have a conversation with you. Thank you everyone for joining in today. Thanks Shantanu, thanks Richa.
Cheers everyone. Thank you, Richa.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you everyone. Bye-bye.